Good morning. It is 9 o'clock here in Pennsylvania and the sun is shining. It's a little cold outside, but the sun is shining. So, welcome to the second morning coffee with Lisa. If you are just joining, hold on, let me do some. If you are just joining, drop in the comments where you are joining me from because I always like to see where everybody's from. So, as I wait for people to get on, I thought I'd kind of share with you what I'm going to be working on in my studio later today at the Quilters Groove Design Society sew-in. I am not the world's best piecer. I don't think that I've made any kind of claims that I'm the world's best piecer. So we're doing a star block exchange. Good morning, Sherry. We're doing a star block, not exchange. Let's see. The star block in the society. We are all making a star block on a gray background with whatever colors you want. And they all send them to me, and then I pick a winner from everybody that joined. And I will say that last year we did a log cabin and it was spectacular. The person that got all the blocks did an amazing job putting it together and quilting it. So I'm super excited to see what happens. So back to my star block that I'm creating for this. I'm doing paper piecing, and I'm not the world's best paper piecer, but this is the block that I'm making. And it was a free block from, I think it was Wombat Quilts online. And I just liked it, and I was like, okay, so I did the freezer paper method where you don't have to tear out the the paper, which was nice. And my block ended up being, sadly, a 1/4 inch too small. So I have my everything prepped, and I will be remaking said block. And hopefully it will be the 8.5-inch unfinished that we need. So let's jump in and talk about kind of not a really sexy, fun topic, but it's machine maintenance. And I think that it's super important. And it was funny because one of the members of the society had said the other day that she started really maintaining her machine really well when she realized how much new machines actually are. And I thought about that and I was like, oh yeah, that's really, really important. So when we have issues with our machine, whether it be your domestic machine or your long arm, I found that there are 3 things that if you do in your machine maintenance, sometimes really make a huge difference and reduce your level of frustration. So the first thing is cleaning your machine, right? Where all of the lint hides. It's super important. So I'm going to change my view here really quick and just show you kind of how I clean the actual bobbin case. And I know that Bernina has said, please don't do that, but I've done it with all my machines, so I'm going to show you what I do. So hold on, let me change my view so that you can see. Okay, so here's my case, right? And I'm going to pull out the actual bobbin, and you can see I won bobbin chicken. Yay me. But if you look here, you can see that there is some serious lint in there. And so what I'll do is I'll take my little lint brush and I'll get all that lint out. And then you see the washer in there. A lot of times I will pop that washer out and make sure that it's nice and clean underneath. And how I do that is I just take a pin and I'm just going to come in and I'm going to pop it out just like that. Okay, and there we go. Okay, so I've popped that out. And then I'm gonna come in, and there's still some, you could see a little bit of lint underneath there. Sorry, I'm trying to get a good camera view for you, which means that I can't see it. Okay, so get it really clean. Good morning, Denise. Yeah, so my live, I posted it, and for some reason it posted that it was going to be 9 p.m. So sorry about that. Okay, now this is where Bernina's like, please, Lisa, don't do this. Okay, so do you see the arm here, right? When you have a lot of lint, what happens is that it gets built up underneath of that. And for me, I have always found I take a small needle and I take it and I just slide it underneath of there. And I don't have any under there today, but one of the things you'll see is this. Let's see if I can get it. You see the hole right down. It's so weird trying to do it kind of backwards. This hole, right? So that's what you're looking for. If you have lint in the, no, that's not the hole. Sorry. Right here. That's a little bit better. If you have lint in that, that's kind of how I get the lint out of there. Well, what happens is when the lint is in there, it's going to kind of mess with your tension. Try and get a good, better picture. It's going to mess with your tension. So it's really, really important that you get the lint out of there. And then I just take my washer and I pop it back in. Get it all back in, and I can just use my fat little fingers for that to get it situated, right? So really important to keep it clean. Now, let's talk about oiling. Well, hold on, not done cleaning yet. So the bobbin area, I use, here, you don't need to see it that close up. That's just silliness. Okay, so I have paint brushes on both ends of my machine. This one's one of the larger ones. I couldn't find my small one. I don't know where it went. Anyway, that I clean out because honestly, this little thing is just too little. So I just went to the hardware store and got a much larger one. Oh, Denise. Okay, so Denise says that she has the Amara and she's always been too afraid to remove that inner spring. It pops back in, and sometimes you just kind of got to move it just around a little bit because there's little grooves that it needs to sit in down there in the bottom. So don't be afraid to actually do that. Now, one of the things too, and I don't know where I put them, but there's something called bobbin washers. And I literally, so I'm doing that declutter. And so things just kind of I keep losing things. Anyway, they're called bobbin washers. So they're actually like little silicone discs, and you can always use that in there. I did that with my A1, always use those. So they make them for M and they make them for L. So those are really good too. But Denise, don't be afraid to remove that inner spring. You'll actually, there's lint buildup underneath there, I'm sure. So grab, when next time you're at the hardware store, grab paint brushes. They're great for cleaning out that lint area. My other thing is, let's talk about oiling our machines, right? I'm going to resort to telling you to look to see what your manual tells you to do, because that's really important that you follow. But your machines need oil. And it's funny, I always hear people say that they wear AirPods when they are quilting. And I've never done that, and I'll tell you why. I think I need to hear my machine because I know the way my machine is supposed to sound. I can hear when something is off. I can hear when it needs oil. I can hear when something like the tension will be off. So really get to know the sound of your machine. That's super important. So no earpods or AirPods. No, not good. So I like to oil before I start. So I give my machine a clean cleaning and an oiling before I start. And what I do is I drop a couple drops on the hook, and this is for long arm, not domestic. So I drop a little couple oil drops on the hook, and then I turn it to manual, and I let it run because I want to whip off like any of the excess oil. Then what I'll do is I will pop the bobbin in, and I will quilt off of the quilt just to make sure I'm not going to get any oil on the quilt. Again, if you're popping on, I would love to see where you are popping on from. Denise, leave it in the chat whether you feel confident now to remove that little spring from your bobbin case. Now, last, but this is certainly not least, okay? Have you ever been quilting along and all of a sudden it's like you have no control over your machine? It happens. And what I have found is that before you start quilting and after you quilt, you need to wipe down your rails. So I have a stack of batting. So if I have leftover batting, I just cut it in squares, doesn't matter what size, and you want to wipe down your table, you want to wipe down your rails, and you want to wipe down your wheels. If you've never done this, I bet if you looked at your wheels, you might find some lint on those wheels. And amazingly, you won't feel it as you're just moving your machine, but if you're stitching, you're going to feel it. So super, super important, wipe down those wheels. The other thing is it's really, really easy to get thread caught in your wheels. So I always, and again, I don't know if I'll be able to find it because gosh knows, I mean, I organized, oh, here it is. Oh, look at that. I have a pair of like these little teeny tweezers that I'll use. Okay, so get those threads out from around your wheels because they make a huge difference. And if you actually do this on a regular basis, it really makes a huge difference in your quilting. It really does. It reduces frustration. Now, sometimes tension issues happen. They're horrible, I know. And one of the things is if you've exhausted all options as in doing your figuring out what's causing it, sometimes just walk away. And the funny thing is I've walked away so frustrated, and then the next morning come down and I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to tackle that tension issue. And surprisingly, the tension gremlins came and fixed it. Or I should say, not the gremlins, the angels, the tension angels came and fixed it. So that's always really nice. So good morning from Central Kansas. Is the spring interchangeable or do you need, hold on, I can't see that. Is the spring interchangeable or do you need to make sure the spring is right side up? So I have found for me, like I think I've put it in, upside down occasionally, Denise, but it didn't really make all that big of a difference. So, but if you're at all worried, that it will make a difference, make sure that you kind of like when you take it out, Now, so I'm going to show you something now that you've said that. So hold on, let me just change my view again. So this, and I don't know, you're not going to be able to really see it, but it's not sitting in there. Whoops, it's not really sitting in there, and the it's kind of two of the I'm going to call them the wings on the outside are kind of popped up. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that before I try and change things, I'm making sure that it's sitting exactly where it needs to sit, and it is. So what I would do, because those wings are still kind of popped up a little bit, I might try to stitch with that, but chances are I'm just going to pop it out and turn it over and make sure. But it doesn't look, it's very, sorry, I'm going to have to, there, I just moved it. I just moved it because it wasn't sitting quite in where it needed to sit. So now it's ready to go. But Denise, I have found that it doesn't make a big difference. So give it a whirl, but don't be afraid to, oh, it doesn't want to go. Oh, there we go. Don't be afraid to pop it out and give it a good cleaning. The other tools that I have found which work really, really well, and I don't know what the name of them were, but they're like almost like these little cleaning things. So I use them both for my long arm and my domestic. So I gave my domestic a really, really thorough cleaning the other day because I really have never done that. And so each of these came in handy, especially the one with the little knobby at the end. So these are something that you can also use to clean your machine. But hello, Rose. How are you? Pottstown, you are like right near me. Oh my gosh, we need to chat. Anyway, so again, those are my three things that I think make a huge difference. Hi, Savannah. That make a huge difference, right? So the first thing, cleaning out all of the lint from your bobbin area. On the long arm and the domestic as well, like you can pop your stitch plate off. Make sure that because the underneath kind of gets linty as well, so you want to clean that off as well. So you're going to clean wherever the lint is going to be hiding. Super important. Oiling your machine. Your machine likes oil. It gets thirsty just like you. So make sure every bobbin change, and machines are different. And depending upon the thread that you're using, like I found if I'm using like a linty thread, that it's more important, like every bobbin change, I'm just giving it a little drop of oil. And again, when I give it the drop of oil, I am putting it on manual. I'm letting it spin off any extra, and I'm stitching off of my quilt in the very beginning to make sure that none of that oil is going to transfer onto my quilt. And last but not least, clean those rails. The rails, the wheels, any little bit of lint or thread can really derail you as you're quilting. The other thing that I have found, and this doesn't happen with all machines, I think it depends on what kind of rails you have, but I always say to park your machine, I park it all the way to the left and all the way to the back. Because what I found is if I haven't quilted for a little while and it's sitting in the middle of the table, and it's been sitting there for a while, it creates like a little indent that you'll feel, and your machine will kind of like, you won't have control as you're quilting. So just get in the habit of always parking your machine when you're not using it, either all the way to the right, all the way to the left, and all the way back. And I think you will thank me. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. Super happy to see everybody here. I know machine quilting is, again, not the sexiest of topics, but I think it's really important, especially because the price of new machines. We were having a conversation on one of our sew-ins about how much the new machines that have the AI features, and I just about fell off my chair because who has $25,000 to spend on sewing machines? They're just so expensive. So we really do want to maintain the ones that we do have. So yeah. Hello from Michigan. So again, you guys, I'm so upset. This is my paper pieced star. I'm so upset. I don't know how it ended up being a 1/4 inch too small. But yeah. So I did check the paper when I printed it off, to make sure that it was going to be the appropriate size. So that was correct. Hello, Brenda, Jean, Wanda. Good morning. Thanks for joining. Um, so yeah, so I did measure that to make sure it was going to be correct. So I'm just hoping that my next one that I'm going to be doing this afternoon on the Society Sew-In um, ends up being the appropriate size, because if it doesn't, I think I'm just gonna nix this particular star because that's super frustrating. Um, my next live, not quite sure when it is, but we're going to be talking seams open, seams closed, stitch in the ditch, no stitch in the ditch. So make sure that you check the page. I do post typically the day before. I'm trying to get better. January is going to be like, a little crazy. I'm trying to settle into a routine of when I do my morning coffees with Lisa. And if there's any topics that you all would like to see, hear, discuss, again, either DM me or drop them into the comments. So I'm going to release you guys to your studio, and I hope you have a fabulous, fabulous day. I'll see you all later.